It's kind of dark. I woke up just before the witching hour, which is 3 a.m. Um, and I watch Papa Duck sometimes, not too often because he's kind of gimmicky, but occasionally he'll have some good information that's relevant, for me at least. Um, And so I'm watching his latest upload, which is it says inmates talk about the prison pandemic. Now, my first question is, since when do inmates get cell phones? But I could just be out of the loop, with certain things because I do know some people from jail be on Facebook and stuff. But my message in this just came to me. My message is, if shit hits the fan and gets really bad, I understand that people are going to be worried about themselves. I understand that a lot of people are weak and have not been tested like this, have not passed the test and trials of having to, having their luxuries taken away. Black people, this is a time where, us experiencing oppression has benefited us. Us having to be strong has benefited us because white privileged people, from what I can see, are doing more panicking than anyone. And white privilege, that doesn't just only talk about white America. There's a lot of other people who have social privileges, financial privileges, other things because they have sold out to the construct of white supremacy, who are also in that same panic of not having to have experienced oppression, subjugation, confinement, not having access to your luxuries, living in a food desert, being in solitary confinement in prison, not having access to jobs or education, being a debt slave because you come from poverty and the only way to get a job was to become a debt slave and get a college education. People who don't understand that type of stuff. Some people who do. But my point is, I get that a lot of people are going to be worried about themselves and panicking and figuring out how to deal with things. But for those of you who still have compassion and understand what that is and what that means at this time, remember, if shit hits the fan, there are people locked up in jail who may be locked up and not able to escape, and who maybe still be alive and healthy. And we need to think about that. I know I'm not necessarily in any position to necessarily help, any more than I already am doing what I can do. But people, if you do have people locked up, people that are in jail or in prison, think about those people too, and what they might be going through and what they might be experiencing if shit hits the fan and society collapses. Not the worst that can happen is not martial law. The worst that could happen is it's not enough people to enforce any laws because of sickness and death and plague, and there is lawlessness. That's the worst that can happen. Now, in the words of Peter Baelish, Littlefinger, chaos is a ladder. So, there's some climbing that can be done for sure. But all I'm saying is, remember, law and order is not the worst thing that can happen. Think about people in prison and how, some may be in a better situation. They are. I've heard they're letting criminals out. I don't know for sure. But some people can be in a worse situation. And remember that everyone in jail is not necessarily guilty. I think that everyone in jail is guilty of bad association or bad habits. And that's why they ended up in that situation. But it doesn't mean they're guilty of the crime that they've been convicted of. I'm sure plenty and most people are. But remember, mass incarceration is somewhat the effect of slave catching, which was a precursor to mass incarceration of black men. You know, the slave catchers who caught the runaway slaves, and that translated, you know, after abolishment into, you know, more racist rednecks, so to speak, you know, using bloodhounds to go, you know, going after freed slaves or certain people. Then it turns into the fraternal order of the police. Now in Chicago, the CPD is a fraternal order. It's a fraternity. And the people who are cops are pledged, they have pledged and they have sworn an oath. So we're talking about secrets. The KKK is a fraternity, is it not? So what I'm saying is the prisons, somewhat, the prison system, yeah, you always had justice and law and order and confining people in trials. But the prison system, mass incarceration, was designed to control black masculinity. Peace, everyone. Mass incarceration was designed to control black masculinity. So remember, there's a systematic design funneling black youth into jail, funneling black men into prison, and funneling black women into single motherhood. So, you know, all I want to do is remind people that you may not have it as bad as you think, and that maybe if things get bad, if you can, stop by the jail cells and see if you can free some of the actual new slaves. You know, that's just what I'm asking from my audience. Think about the people locked up, and if things hit the fan and people have to travel, or whatever goes down, maybe you might want to risk freeing some people who might be locked in prison and forgotten about if things get bad again. And I want to remind people, law and order is not the worst thing that can happen. People complain about things that are actually privileges until they're taken away, and they have to really experience the ways that other people have to live. That's what I see happening to Americans of all colors and creeds and ages. Their comfort has been taken. Your comfort has been taken away. Their comfort has been taken away. You know, but some of us were already in uncertain situations, and we're literally surviving off of praying every day. I've been surviving off of praying every day for the past 2 years, over 2 years. These are the reasons why I'm Black High Priestess. Be careful of these spiritual people who have nothing to offer. But the glamorous aspect of it, and really wanting to be worshipped for acting like they know something when there's no wisdom or experience behind the spirituality. You know, be careful of people who are living in luxury claiming to be spiritual. You want spirituality? Get naked, let go of things, make sacrifices, go through some dire situations. You're not going to find out what you're made of, or what the Most High is made of, or what the ancestors are made of or can do for you when you sit in pretty in a place of comfort, you know, being worshipped by people for claiming this and claiming that. Stop following these spiritual gurus who have nothing to offer and want to claim that they can help you heal, and they ain't even never been through any pain. How can a person who's never really been through anything help you heal when you're in pain and they are in a state of meditation all the time? And you should just think positive. Don't, please stay away from these fools, these demon possessed fools who have nothing to offer you, who cannot help you right now. But a lot of you will, because you want to follow Satan and you want to do what's easy and you want to do what's wrong and what's evil and what's wicked, and you know that there's a benefit in this system from being an evildoer. But those of us who understand what's happening and what's going on with the plagues and everything right now that are in a state of repentance and really are concerned about salvation and things like that, and being Christ-like and being right with God and all of that, remember what pleases the Most High: compassion, thinking about others, being wise. This, and I let go of my tarot decks years ago, what I'm saying, and I did it publicly and everything. But, and again, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but to you diviners, this is the time to really think about what you're doing, and is your gift really a gift, or are you demon possessed? Are you being guided to do you really need these tarot cards? What did you start doing it for? Were you following a trend? Did you want to do it because you saw your girlfriend doing it? Were you always interested in it? Was it a dire need to help other people that started with you? Was it a strong passion that you've always had to help other people, and you found your ability to help others through tarot? Because if it doesn't come from the latter part, there's no need to do this stuff. And I really want to warn you all of dealing with all of these soothsayers and diviners and fortune tellers. A lot of these problems that you all have can be solved through prayer, can be solved through diet and exercise, but spirituality is not physical. And that's what I want to remind people. Spirituality is not physical. Understanding spiritual warfare. If you understand biblical principles and things like that, and can listen to people who can explain those things and help life make sense to you, and stop listening to things that don't make sense, things that are not beneficial to you. This is not the time to be stupid. There's a lot of people out here making stupid decisions, and there's a lot of other people, especially, think with a biblical mindset right now. That'll help you survive. But if you listen into these worldly people and getting involved with all this polygamy and this sexualized, new age spiritual trends, and all this whitewashed, white appropriated voodoo, and all these little girls running around calling themselves witches when they ain't planted one seed, ain't healed nan motherfucker, okay, and they don't know the Most High. They don't even know Satan, because they so low level, Satan don't even want to deal with them. They just dabblers who the Most High don't want to deal with, nor do Satan. You just dealing with low level, unclean, demonic spirits who just using you at they whim. Stay away from these people. It's time to get real. And a lot of you people see what I have to go through on Facebook because I'm the only one telling the truth boldly, unapologetically. There's too many black women telling the truth apologetically. You're going to tell the truth, tell the truth. or just keep on living a lie. If you're gonna be real, or keep living a lie. But don't straddle the fence, because you just gonna get impaled. It's better that you take your free will to make a choice than just be a zombie on a fence that couldn't decide whether you wanted to be righteous or evil, whether you wanted to be good or wicked. Like if you just really just can't make a choice and can't decide, then the decision has already been made. You have already sentenced yourself to you know the unfortunate judgment instead of salvation. So um don't forget, there's actual slaves, actual people locked up. I'm not saying that they are not there for a reason. I'm saying just because they got sentenced for their crimes doesn't mean they're any more guilty than some of us walking around with freedom. Remember, this is spiritual warfare. Stay humble. Read the Bible. If you can't read and you can't figure it out, and you too ashamed of the fact that you really are, ignorant, and don't know how and can't understand the King's English, then listen to pastors and pray to the Most High and pray for a person to come and teach you and interpret it. And if you get led to someone like me, don't get mad at the honesty. When you get led to people who are going to keep it real with you and tell you things that are going to force you to look at yourself in the mirror for what you really are so you can change it, don't be afraid. Make the change. Or be sentenced to eternal damnation. It doesn't matter. But understand the difference between somebody who cares about you and somebody who hates you. Anyone who doesn't discipline you hates you. There's people who I consider real friends. Those are the people who have had my back, who have defended me publicly or privately. The people who have came to me in private and said, "Hey, Chastity, this or that isn't a good look," or people who will be honest. If you got a big booger sticking out your nose, a person who hates you and is jealous of you is not going to say anything, because they don't want all the guys that holler at you to say anything. Even though sometimes you can look messed up and get more numbers than when you do yourself up. But a best friend's gonna be like, "Hey, you got booger on your nose," or "Hey, you forgot to put on deodorant today." That's not easy to tell somebody, but you know what? If you care about that person, just like that stranger who sees that your fly is open, or something, and finds a discreet way to let you know without trying to embarrass you in public. That's happened to me times. I've had to let a chick know that her tag was sticking out of a shirt. Her price tag was sticking out. And I, instead of just, and clearly, and of course I may have seen it when other people didn't, but I just came up to her and, I acted like I knew her. I introduced myself or whatever, but I just whispered in her ear, "You got your tag sticking out. I'm gonna yank it off real quick." And she was really, really grateful, because I didn't embarrass her while she was in the middle of a conversation with her friends. You know what I'm saying? But I also did something to keep her from embarrassing herself further. Someone's got tissue on the back of their shoe walking out the bathroom. You step on it or say, people do these things for strangers. These are the things that you need to understand who has your back. And that's why it's better for a lot of people who have a lot to offer to be alone, because you don't want to cast your pearls before swine. And a lot of people, a lot of these dudes trying to get with me, they have nothing to offer me. They see the value in me and they want to convince me that they have value. But you don't have to convince somebody that you have value if you come offering them and showing them what you have. I can't stand a nigger, because it's always the niggers who want to convince me of this and discuss, the few posts that I make about black men and ignore the several other posts that I make about everything else. Spirituality, modeling, woodcrafting, animals, scripture, all the other things that I post. But, niggers always want to focus on the truth that I say about black men because it applies to them. Most black men, they ignore it because it doesn't apply to them. It has no merit on them. But the ones who respond are always the ones that it applies to, without fail. Because no black man would get offended at a black woman holding a black man to a higher standard. Only little niggerly little boys get offended by that. And only crackers get offended by it because they don't want black men to be held to a higher standard. They don't want a black woman telling black men how stupid they look. So a cracker will get on there and try and say it's racist too, because he's racist and he doesn't want black men to do better. He wants black men to keep oppressing black women so he can keep sleeping with us, or with some of us. So you all need to get your head out of your ass and start understanding what's real and what's fake. And I don't have time for fake people. And there's certain things that will let you know who's fake. There's certain questions people will ask. And I told witches this several times. Stop answering questions that women have. There are questions that mere dabbling women who have no business in the craft will ask. And then there's questions that witches and priestesses and mediums and those who are initiates will ask. Know the difference. Stop answering to stupid women and save your energy for the priestesses who deserve initiation and who really are ready for the next step and thus are asking about what they don't know. Because there's these questions that women ask that witches will know. There are things that you don't teach a witch. There are things that a witch is born with that shows that she's a witch. Stop asking these questions that show that you're just a mere woman. And witches, stop answering to them. Stop selling out the craft and doing things for profit. Because most of the time, if a person is bringing you money, it's because they have nothing else to offer. Our services are really for barter and trade, because our services are priceless. Our products are craft work that's priceless because it is spiritually infused. It's enchanted. There's no price on that. So it should be exchanged with something of equal or greater value, which is one, appreciation for the healing that you receive, or two, a gift or a craft work or service from another witch or a male or woman of power, or keep on receiving the sacred gift from the Most High to do the healing work in exchange for the responsibility you take to do it. That's sacred economics. But when you're dealing with money, you're dealing with dead energy. You're dealing with death. You're dealing with people who have nothing to offer. So they have to pay for the service because they can't pay respect and they can't pay their dues and they can't pay rights with rites of passage. So they have to pay money. And if they don't pay money, then either the Most High will pay and make sure that you're taken care of in exchange for helping one of his flock, or they will pay for their disrespect if you are really a witch. And when I say that, I mean witches do not have to curse for the scales of justice to be balanced in our life. We don't have to curse or hex or go out of our way. Those are things that women tend to do. Now, a witch has the authority to do it. But because of that authority, we take responsibility, and we don't do it often unless it is warranted and unless a reckoning is called for. And there are some women who do it for money. There will be a judgment for that too. The point in being a real witch is the fact that you don't have to always go do spell work and go do certain things. Those things are practice to help you communicate and excel in your communication with the spirits and the ancestors. But those things, again, it's a relationship that you have. Spell work is to help you have a better relationship with the ancestors. So when someone does attack you, or when someone does disrespect you or betray you, you already have that protection. And 9 times out of 10, somebody is doing that to reveal the demonic spirit in them so you don't deal with them anymore. That's how the craft really works. But these wicked humans out here who want to employ the sacred rites for their wickedness, that's not a witch or a mage. You know, that's not where it really comes from. It comes from having a excellency in learning in certain skills and in certain education and scholastics, mathematics, science, writing. You know, all these things that you learn in school were precursors to figure out your adeptness and your potential to do magic. That's why the rap industry is so terrible, because they got all of these black men using the sacred rites of the griot to tell the stories, retelling their whole legacy as, fuck bitches and white girl, this and that. That's the black man retelling his whole legacy, when the griots held, had the sacred gift of telling stories in rhythm and revealing the mysteries of the patakis of our ancestors. But you got these men using ancient shamanism and warlock wizardry to cast spells on the rest of the black men who follow them, and to subjugate black women into sex slavery, subjugate black women into mammyhood and prostitution, and to subjugate black men into slavery, into a lifestyle that will lead you into prison. And I'm not only talking about the lifestyle of killing your own brothers and selling crack. I'm talking about the lifestyle of dealing with white women, taking that bait. You guys need to read the book of Ezra and Nehemiah, where they talk about interracial dating and the curse that is placed on black men who let white women, foreign women, and foreign women is not just about white women. It's all foreign women at that time was a reference to women who did not have the same God. There were particular cultures and tribes that they really did not deal with. The Amorites, the Moabites, they really didn't deal with them. That's why Naomi taking Ruth in the book of Ruth was such a rare, strange thing, because Ruth was a Moabitess. But yet she has her own book in the Bible. That's why you need to read the Bible and understand the Most High. But you also have to understand too, while the Most High gave his only begotten son so other nations could be grafted into salvation, certain things are only for the nation of Israel. And when you try and graft in recessive genetics into the priesthood, that's when the black men started getting cursed. The men of the priesthood who knew better and were ordered to keep the bloodline clean were the ones taking in white wives for them and their sons, and causing their daughters to marry white husbands. So I say you all need to read the Bible to understand some of the things I'm talking about, and stay away from these witches who have a problem with Christianity. They are not real. A real witch is not repelled by scripture, by the Most High, by Christians, or any of that. A real witch is not repelled by those things. Demonic spirits are. A real witch is not repelled by any force of nature because she herself can embody it and embrace it and is a tool for the forces of nature to manifest. That's what a witch is. A tool that the spirit realm and forces of nature utilize. Now, a mage is different because a mage deals with the masculine principles of mysticism. The mage uses the spirits and the elements as tools, whereas a witch becomes the tool. All right? Masculine and feminine principles. So anyway, enough about that. Let me know if you all have any questions. Stay faithful, stay compassionate, stay wealthy, stay healthy. Listen, learn, like, subscribe. Peace and love.